गुड इवनिंग फ्रेंड्स, स्टडी विद द पाला इंजीनियरिंग एंड जनरल जियोलॉजी परवीन सिंह बुक। सो हमारे चैप्टर नंबर 8 चल रहा है, फिजियोग्राफिक फीचर। सो कॉस्ट लाइन्स, अब नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है कॉस्ट लाइन्स। डेफिनेशन: coastline, also called shorelines or coastlines, landforms are the areas of land adjoining the sea or oceans, and considering that more than 70% of the globe is covered by the sea and oceans waters, the coast forms physiographic features of great importance. coast coast कई बार coast भी कह देते हैं। So a great variations in their configuration and shapes and mode of origin. Classification: the origin and evolutionary trend of a coast have been subjected of intensive studies with the geologist for many years, and attempts have been made to classify the coast on the various ground, but no single classification has been found satisfactorily to include and explains all the type of coast. And so this so the complex natures of most of the coast following into classification of shorelines have been used very frequently. Johnson classification. So it may be described as a classification based on some mode of origins of a coast for a type of coast proposed by Professor D.W. Johnson as shorelines of submergence. These are believed to have been formed by sinkings of landforms adjoining to the sea, either by a rise in the sea levels and or by a subsidence of the land part. The coastlines of submergence are characterized with the drowned valleys and headlands and shattered creeks and bays, estuaries, sea cliffs and bars and tombolas, tombolas, okay, are common feature along this type of coast. Okay, shorelines of emergence. In these shorelines, the land forms have emerged out of water's entire, either by a falls in sea levels or by a uplift of the land parts relative to a static sea level. Yes. The coastlines of emergence are characterized with irregular outlines, relatively few bays, and numerous bars and lagoons, and often flat coastlines plains, natural shorelines. Such shorelines show no evidence of either submergence or emergence of the land parts, and most deltic type of shorelines belong to this category. Similarly, shorelines made by volcanic eruptions and the coral reefs are also neutral, genetically speaking, compound shorelines. Many old mature shorelines of the world have suffered both in emergence and submergence during their geological history. Such shorelines naturally exhibit characters of both emergence and submergence types. These are grouped as a compound shorelines. The Atlantic coast belong to this categories. Shepherd classifications. According, it is rather a recent classification proposed by Professor F.P. Shepherd in 1948 and modified in 1963. All the shorelines are divided first in two main groups: primary shorelines and secondary shorelines. Depending on whether agencies involved in their development are non-marine or marine in nature. Respectively, each group is then subdivided into types based on the nature of agency of or process involved in their evolutions. Primary shorelines. These coast of their topographies to process operating on the land surface such erosions and depositions by wind, water, ice and volcanic activity and faultings, and accordingly the following types of coast may be described as the primary shorelines. In coast due to erosions, river valleys, glacial valleys and karst topography features which are essentially the feature of erosion may get partially drowned under the rising sea levels and forms coastlines. And coast due to subaerial deposition, many coast bears evidence of having been formed by depositions from the surface and not from sea. Agents such as rivers, glacier, and winds. The deltic coast is so numerous that at the mouth of a big rivers are the best example of this group. The well-known river of the world such as Mississippi, Niles, Rhone, and Tibers, and the Ganges have all given rise to deltics coast of a great importance. Example are also found where deposits made by glacier and wind forms the coastline. Coast due to volcanic accumulations. These coast develops from the accumulations of lava flows and pyroclastic materials in areas of volcanic activity adjoining to the sea. To the seas, in some cases, volcanoes and may collapse, forming another type of volcanic coast. Coast due to disastrophic activities, many coasts are known to have been caused by faultings involving subsidence of a part of the land blocks and foldings of the crust adjoining to the oceans. In fact, in earliest attempts to classify the coast, these faultings and foldings were the characters sought for in a coast. The Atlantic coast are a type example of fault type coast, and whereas the Pacific coast are described as a fold type. Secondary shorelines and such coastlines that have been greatly modified in their shapes and outlines by marine sections, erosions, and depositions, so that their original character have either been completely obliterated and also greatly changed, are grouped as secondary coastlines. They are also called mature coastline. Two main subtypes of a secondary coast are as follows. Coast due to waves erosions. These are coastlines up which the work of waves erosions has left unmistakable impressions. Thus, the original or irregularities might have been completely eroded by the waves, resulting in a straight coast. And similarly, the original heterogeneous characters of the coastal rock might have been cut selectively by the waves, causing in indentations along the coast due to marine deposition. Iceland, despite and bars may be the result of depositions along the original shores to such an extent as to cover it completely or partially. These depositions are made by waves and currents operating in the sea. And coral reef of various types are another example of marine depositions that may be the main feature of a coastline. Thank you.